Welcome to ZoomInData. Hello everyone. Thank you for joining this focused session on application logging and diagnostics in Azure Functions. Today we will go through 25 key questions and the detailed answers, the ones most commonly asked in AZ204, AZ400, AZ305 certifications, job interviews, and real-world production troubleshooting in 2026. We will cover everything from basic console logging to structured logging, iLogger usage, log levels, custom dimensions, correlation IDs, durable functions logging, isolated worker model, and best practices for performance and cost. If you are preparing for certification, an interview, or managing functions in production, this session will give you clear, ready-to-use knowledge. If you find it helpful, please like, share, and subscribe to ZoomInData for more Azure deep dives. Let us begin. How does logging work in Azure Functions? Logging in Azure Functions is built into the runtime and captures messages from your code automatically. Logs are written using standard logging patterns like console.log in Node.js or iLogger in .NET. The function's runtime collects these logs and forwards them to Application Insights or the log stream in the Azure portal. You can control log levels, categories, and destinations through configuration files like host.json. Explain console.log. Write line in functions. In Node.js functions, console.log, console.info, console, warn, and console. Error write logs directly. In .NET functions, system, console, write line or debug. Write line works but is not recommended. These methods send output to the function's host log stream and application insights if enabled. They are useful for quick debugging but lack structured data and severity levels. What is structured logging in functions? Structured logging means logs are written as key value pairs or JSON objects instead of plain text. It allows powerful querying, filtering, and aggregation in application insights or log analytics. In .NET, use iLogger with structured properties, logger, log information, processed order, order id. In Node.js, use the Azure Functions logger package for structured output. How do you use iLogger in .NET Functions? In .NET Functions, in process or isolated, inject iLogger via constructor or parameter. Example: public async task run, iLogger logger, logger. Log information, processing order, order id. iLogger supports levels, log trace, log debug, log information, log warning, log error, log critical. Structured properties are automatically captured for querying in Application Insights. Explain Trace Writer in older runtimes. Trace Writer was used in early Azure Functions versions, v1 and early v2, for logging. Example: public static void run, trace writer log, log. Info, function started. It supported info, warning, error, verbose levels and was tied to Application Insights. It has been replaced by iLogger in newer runtimes. Microsoft recommends migrating to iLogger. How do you configure log levels in host.json? In host.json, use the logging section to set minimum log levels per category. Example: logging, log level, default, information, function, debug, host, warning, categories like function, host, or your namespace control granularity. Lower levels, debug, trace, increase log volume and cost. Use carefully in production. What is Logstream in the portal? Logstream is a real-time, live view of logs from your Function app in the Azure portal. Go to Function app, Monitoring, Logstream. It shows console output, traces, errors, and system logs as they happen. Useful for quick debugging without opening application insights. How do you log custom dimensions? Custom dimensions are key value pairs added to logs for better querying. In .NET, logger, log information, processed order, new, order id equals order id, customer equals customer name. In Node.js, context.log.info, processed order, order id, customer name. They appear as custom dimensions in application insights. Filter and aggregate easily. Explain aggregation of logs in application insights. Application insights aggregates logs by time, category, severity, and custom dimensions. You can summarize counts, averages, or failures. Requests, summarize count, by bin, timestamp, 1H. Aggregation helps identify trends like failure spikes or peak usage times. Use it in dashboards or alerts for proactive monitoring. How do you filter logs in Log Analytics? In Application Insights, Logs, write KQL queries to filter by time, severity, category, or custom dimensions. Example, traces, where severity level greater than equals 2, where message contains error, order by timestamp desk. Filter by operation _id to see logs for a single request. Save queries as favorites or pin them to dashboards. What is the default log retention in Application Insights? Default retention is 90 days for most telemetry data in Application Insights. You can extend it up to 2 years with additional storage costs. For longer retention, use continuous export to blob storage or archive to Log Analytics. Adjust retention based on compliance needs. Example, 365 days for audit. How do you log exceptions properly in functions? In .NET, let iLogger log exceptions automatically with logger. Log error, X, failed to process order. In Node.js, context.log, error occurred, X. Always include the exception object. It captures stack trace and inner details. Add custom dimensions, order id, customer id, for better context in Application Insights. Explain correlation IDs in logs. Correlation id, operation _id, links all logs from the same function invocation or request chain. The function's runtime generates it automatically and propagates it to dependencies. Query example, traces, where operation _id equals ABC 123 inches to see all logs for one execution. It enables end-to-end tracing across functions, APIs, and databases. How do you log in durable functions? Durable functions use iLogger the same way as regular functions. Orchestrator and activity functions both support iLogger injection. Custom events like orchestrator started and activity completed are logged automatically. Add structured logs with correlation IDs to track orchestration flows. What is the role of category in logging? Category is the name of the logger, usually the function name or namespace. In host.json, you set log levels per category. Example, function. My function, debug. Categories help filter logs to specific functions or groups. Use custom categories for better organization in large projects. How do you suppress noisy logs? In host JSON, set higher log levels for noisy categories. Example: host, warning. Use default level, information, and only enable debug or trace for specific functions. Avoid excessive console.log-in loops or high-frequency code. Use sampling in application insights to reduce overall log volume. Explain host and function level logging differences. Host level logs come from the function's runtime, startup messages, worker process info, binding errors. Function level logs are from your code, custom messages, business logic events, errors. In host JSON, you can set different log levels for host, asterisk versus function, asterisk categories. Host logs are usually set to warning or error in production to reduce noise. How do you log in the isolated worker model? In .NET isolated functions, inject iLogger via constructor or function parameter. Example: public class myFunction, private read-only iLogger logger. Logger, log information, processing. The isolated worker uses the same application insights integration as in process. All standard iLogger methods work exactly the same way. What is the impact of verbose logging on performance? Verbose logging, debug or trace level, increases CPU and memory usage slightly. It generates more telemetry data, higher costs in application insights. In high-throughput functions, verbose logging can slow execution and fill storage faster. Use it only during development or troubleshooting. Disable in production. How do you export logs to storage? In application insights, continuous export. Set up export to blob storage or event hubs. Choose categories, requests, traces, exceptions, and destination. Logs are exported in JSON format for long-term archive or external analysis. Useful for compliance, 7-year retention, or feeding into SIEM systems. Explain diagnostic settings for logs. Diagnostic settings send function app logs to log analytics, storage, or event hubs. Go to function app. Monitoring. Diagnostic settings. Add diagnostic setting. Select categories. Function app logs. Function runtime logs. Execution results. Set retention in log analytics, 30 to 365 days, for querying and analysis. How do you use KQL for log queries? KQL, Custo Query Language, is used in log analytics to query telemetry. Example: requests, where success equals false, summarize count, by bin, timestamp, 1H. Filter by severity, traces, where severity level greater than equals 2. Join tables for end-to-end views. Requests, join, dependencies, on operation_id. How do you log in non.NET languages? In Node.js, use context.log.info, context.log, warn, context.log, error. In Python, use logging module, logging.info, message, or logging, error, error. In PowerShell, write host or write information, captured as traces. All log messages go to application insights if enabled. How do you troubleshoot logging issues? Check if application insights is enabled and connection string is correct. Verify log level in host JSON, too high a level, e.g., error only, hides lower messages. Use Logstream in the portal to see real-time output. Query Log Analytics for missing logs. Check time range and filters. What are best practices for logging in functions? Use structured logging with iLogger and custom dimensions for better querying. Set log levels in host, JSON, information in production, debug in development. Avoid excessive logging in loops or high-frequency code. Always log exceptions with full context and correlation IDs. Send logs to a shared log analytics workspace for cross-service visibility. Set retention to 30 to 90 days and archive for compliance. Build dashboards and alerts from day one. Do not wait for problems. Thank you for watching this complete guide to application logging and diagnostics in Azure Functions, from basic setup to advanced production techniques. If this session helped you with certifications, interviews, or real-world monitoring, please like, share, and subscribe to ZoomInData. More Azure deep dives are coming soon. Stay connected and keep learning. Thank you. See you in the next video.